grew up in New York, middle child. I have two sisters, and my parents, while they knew the Lord while they were growing up, by the time that they had us, they were not necessarily seeking the Lord. And so my grandmother was the one that would take us to church every weekend.
I was raised going to church, so we went to church every Wednesday and Sunday, but I had a very limited knowledge of who God was, very limited knowledge. I didn't know anything about His character, His love, or any of the really important big things.
My father was a drug addict, and many years I just didn't understand why certain things were happening in our home. But as I got older and asking questions, found out that he was addicted to crack.
I guess from when I was maybe a toddler till about 17, I was verbally, physically, and sexually abused by my mom. A few times she would hold me underwater and try to drown me, or she would hold a knife to my throat saying that she has the power to kill me whenever she wants and my life is in her hands. But during that time I used to write letters to God, and so I would go to Him and I would just beg Him and just pray and just say, God, please make her stop hurting me. Before she kills me, just make her stop.
And so it was really hard. I never really had that relationship with my father, and I had that longing in my heart of wanting to know what that relationship was like, to be able to run home and talk to your father and be able to crawl on his lap and talk to him about any hurts that I had and wants, and I just never knew what that was like.
And that was until I was 17, so by that time I was just like, okay, clearly I know that you know that I'm down here and all of this stuff is happening to me, and you don't care. You must not care, God, because if you cared, you would stop it. Why would you want this to happen to me? And I just went against everything I ever learned about God and what we should be doing as Christians. I didn't care to live my life in any certain way or anything like that from that point on.
As I went to church, I would just, talk to God, and it was one Sunday where I remember the leader of the children's church saying, do you know where you're going if you were to die?
I ended up getting back in touch with an old friend, and he was a Christian, and he was telling me his testimony and what God has done for him in his life, and how God has just what God saved him from. And I guess I was just at the end of my rope, and I could not do it anymore. Like, I've tried every way to try to fix myself.
As soon as I got home from church, I knelt down by my bedside and cried out and said, Lord, in case I haven't asked you to come into my life, in case I haven't surrendered to your Lordship, I want to make sure that I do that tonight. And so, kneeling down at my bedside, I was able to give my heart to the Lord, and the thing that stood out to me the most was that I asked Him, I said, Lord, I don't know what it's like to have a father, but I hear in your word that you are the Heavenly Father. And I said, would you show me what it's like to have a dad?
I just knew that I couldn't keep going the way I was going, and I wanted God to do for me whatever He was doing for him. And I didn't know why He was doing it for him and not for me, but if there was anything I could do to get myself in any kind of position that God would do it for me too, that's what I wanted to do. And so I ended up going to Calvary, and I got saved there at one of the women's Bible studies.
I think one of the key moments in my life, as many people are aware of, a life-changing moment for me was when I had my daughter Rebecca. I was pregnant, and at 5 months old, they did some tests to find out if she had Down syndrome or not. And I had a 1 in 10 chance that she would have Down syndrome, and when I went for the tests, they looked for 7 key markers, and they said she was negative from all of them. And so I thought there is no way that she has Down syndrome.
He allowed me to be able to confront my mom about everything that she's done and everything that's gone on between us. That was something that I would have never done before. So clearly God said to me, you have a choice to make right now. You can either act the way you want based on how you feel right now and based on what you can understand, or you can trust me that I know what I'm doing and that what I have for you is good. And you could choose to continue to forgive her and choose to love her and continue to build a relationship with her, just because, and then just trust in me for the rest.
And so it was a real shocker to me on the day that I gave birth to her, when the neonatologist came over to me and told me, we believe your daughter has Down syndrome. And my life just flipped upside down in that moment. I kind of had all these expectations of what motherhood would be like, and I just felt, why, God? Why would you allow this to happen to me? And so it just really shook my faith, and I was just wondering what God was up to, and not sure, and scared, and angry. But in the midst of it all, trying to understand why God would allow certain things to happen to people, God just really spoke clearly to me, and he says, will you trust me, and trust the things that you do know about me in my word in the midst of those difficult circumstances?
Like, I just wonder how many people have like an issue with God because of whatever, and how that affects them and keeps them in the same place instead of moving forward. And so I'm just really thankful for all he showed me and all he's done for me.
And I was able to just overcome that challenge that God placed in my life, to give him glory in the midst of it. And I can say now I'm just so blessed by my daughter and the things that she has taught me, that God has used through her life to teach me about faith in him and trust in him and walking in him, walking with him. So I have been blessed and seen God work in such a mighty way through that obstacle in my life.